What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. Today I'm stoked because I'm sitting down with Eddie Morais, straight out of Gracie University headquarters in Torrance, California. In this conversation, Eddie breaks down his journey from Brazil to California, how Alex Stewart introduced him to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and how the exact moment self-defense clicked, starting with the clinch and why teaching is so important. We also connect the dots between Jiu-Jitsu and surfing, including Eddie's wild perspective that the ocean doesn't even know you exist, and how the mindset builds awareness, humility, and confidence. He also shares what it's like working at Gracie University headquarters as the facility manager, why cleanliness is part of the mission, and why he calls it the University of Helpers. Plus, his belief on energy, sending it to loved ones, his band, and his goal to keep doing all this to 100 years old, even touching on AI in the future. So quick shout out to today's sponsors, which includes Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Smyrna and White Belt Surfer. All right, let's bring on Eddie Morais. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. It is 2026, and here we have Eddie Morais, also known as Eddie. So I apologize if I messed that up, but I'm just going to call you Eddie because that's how I was introduced to you many, many years ago. And man, you are my second or third podcast of this year. So I want to thank you for that, for continuing to give me some nice momentum. And dude, I'm just super stoked to have you on. Of all the guests that I've had, I was definitely, and I still am, looking forward to being able to sit down with you. So Eddie, how are you doing today?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing amazing as every single day. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So for those watching, Eddie is currently out on the West Coast in the beautiful state California, where the sun always seems to shine. And I'm all the way on the opposite side of the country here in Little Delaware, where it's actually not as cold today. So funny story for those, again, watching. I just saw Eddie about last week because I was out there for the instructor certification program. And for those watching, that's Gracie University's instructor course that any up and coming instructors go through. And then, of course, instructors can recertify. But the thing that I love about that event is, aside from the instruction, is all the connections I've made over the years. And Eddie falls into that category. So, man, I remember the very first time I met you, and I'm not sure if you remember because I'm sure you see a lot of people, but my first memory was January 2020. So going back 6 years, and it was during the ICP. And I remember seeing you in the hallway, and I remember Henner talking briefly about you. And I'm going to paraphrase, but he was saying, yeah, guys, if you're walking throughout the hallways, if you need help, Eddie's around. And I didn't know who you were at the time, but I remember eventually meeting you, and man, you just had this like sweet soul about yourself. You're very open, charismatic, and I meet a lot of people, Eddie, but I got to say, like, very few people like you left a lasting impression. And every time that I've gone back to Gracie University, you're like that familiar face that anyone that walks through those doors see. So I want to thank you for that, for just being a very consistent, positive, and motivating figure, and maybe no one's ever told you that, but I'm going to tell you that because I think it's awesome, the impact that you have. So I want to start with that. And I know you've been with Gracie University for a while, so I posed a question. Here we go. How long have you been at Gracie University, that facility, and basically your involvement with the family?
I start to train with them in 2014. I think it was January 2014. And since then has been a very, very interesting ride because from my accent, probably a bunch of you guys already know that I'm a Brazilian guy. And surprisingly, in Brazil, I didn't have any desire to do jiu-jitsu because I was receiving informations from the news, and unfortunately, a lot of time the news they sell things that make us a little uncomfortable, and I was thinking, I already have so many fights throughout my life. I have several cuts. Being a wild kid in Brazil, it's kind of fun, but at least for this aspect of fights, I don't really want it at the time, and zero desire to do jujitsu. And then when I started to get to know them, I realized that I have a lot of to do with it,
Hmm.
and has been very, very interesting. It incorporated a lot of things to my lifestyle. I have been doing the Gracie diet over 10 years. So has been a very, very um, long learning process, and I enjoy it all. And it's so interesting that you remember the first day that we met. I remember as well because it was, now that we are gone, I can say with better better voice, let's say this way, because it was right in the beginning of COVID for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we had so much uncertainty everywhere, so much energy going back and forth. And I decided not to change my energy at all. If I have to go back and I want to see my energy, I would say that I did make sure that everything that you said about myself, I was capable to do even more.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, a couple things that you hit there. So you mentioned that, you're from Brazil, hence the accent, so for those watching, Brazil is a country. And it's always fascinating, right? So, like as instructors, when we're teaching, because you're an instructor as well out there, we always teach to the least common denominator. So the person in the room that's never done jujitsu. So something that I've had to learn, Eddie, is when I'm doing these podcasts and I'm talking about Gracie University or the ICP, I have to educate the audience too. And it's fascinating because I have a friend that I used to work for many, many years ago, and he actually watches the podcast. So and he'll say, "Yeah, because I remember in your podcast you were talking about Gracie University, the instructor certification program," and I'm thinking, "Wow, like that's amazing that you know what that is." But again, because I break it down in every video, so when you talk about how like you use those experiences and you want to give it like for yourself, you always talk about like giving your best version. That kind of reminds me of
Mhm.
like every podcast deserves the best version for the audience. So that's number one. And then number two, you talk about being from Brazil and not wanting to train, and I find that's kind of interesting in a sense, not necessarily for you, but just I guess the culture in general. Because before I started jujitsu, I guess I had this notion that if you're from Brazil, you just naturally train jujitsu. I guess it's the same for anyone that lives in Japan. It's like if you live in Japan, you do some type of karate. So I find it fascinating where you didn't have any interest in the beginning. So were you born in Brazil and then you made the transition to America?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So born in Brazil, when did you come over to the States? Like around what time period was that?
Not long ago, 2013.
Oh wow. So all of that pretty much happened all around the same time. So 2014, I think you said you started. So basically a year. So you come over and I'm assuming California, and then so I guess my question is how did you officially get linked with the a Gracie Academy at the time, and then Huron and Henner? Did it happen by accident, or is that something that was yeah. Yeah. So just explain to the viewers how that, a courtship happened, because that's something that I don't know about you.
Yeah, thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
Who opened the doors for me? It was a guy that you know really well, Alex Stewart.
Right on. Yeah.
I I I ended up living at his parents' house. And then I start to see him with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And then one day, hey, do you want to go there to see what it is? I said, yeah, let me see. And then from there, we took a fly and we are still flying to the 2 day sky.
Yeah. That's awesome. So his influence or that friendship, you will, and then as they say, the rest is history. So that's awesome. So you start jujitsu, and for those watching again, Gracie University is this worldwide association or network or organization, whatever you want to call it, and it's a huge online platform, but it's an actual place as well in Torrance, California. So before it actually became Gracie University, the official like building that it is now on Carson, I think, or is
Yeah,
it
you're
Carson?
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Carson.
on Carson. I think we got to give some love and shout out to the original Gracie Academy, or maybe not the
Yeah.
original, but Gracie Academy that was before GU. So if you started in 2014, that means that you spent a good amount of time at Gracie Academy. So man, I always love picking the brains of those that just have either trained before me or I guess during this time. So what was that like, man, training at Gracie Academy? And now that because I know you're a brown belt now, but when you first initially started jujitsu, Eddie, talk about what a class was like, and some of those like first time emotions being on the mat. And was jujitsu something that you initially fell in love with from the start, or did it kind of just happen slowly over time?
Thank you. That's a very, very good question. I I started at Artesia, which was the second location. The first location, it was few blocks next to the third location right now on Carson, and it was uh, because I never had any experience with a group learning martial art. My closest martial art that I had in Brazil, it was capoeira. I don't know
Mhm.
if you ever heard about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've
Mhm.
heard of it.
Yeah, and that was my daily thing. I was seeing it in the neighborhood that I was living. A bunch of people doing capoeira, and my brothers, some friends, and myself, we start to do it by our own because we didn't have money to pay to somebody to teach us, and we start to do by our own, and then we build a little training area, and we start to do boxing, and very raw, no, nothing technical, very raw, just by watching and trying to learn and growing together.
Sure.
Then going to the class, because I as I told you, I had so many, bro. I don't even know how many fights I had. I knew already what is to have a bleeding nose. What's the feeling of having a cut in your head and a thing, whatever.
Sure.
It's relate a real fight. So I see a lot of people walking through the building and they don't feel themselves. They don't even know who they are when they are stepping to the building. I never had that. And it was a very wow, that's interesting. I remember when I learned the clinch, um, and I go, wow, man, if I knew the clinch when I was 13 years old and I got out of school and I got close to this kid, first of all, I thought that somebody else at the school would fight. And then the I remember like right now, oh, he's here. I receive a push on my back, and then the kid hold my t-shirt, landed 4 punches on my nose, and then the nose start to bleed. So when I saw the clinch for the very first time, I said to myself, wow, if I knew the clinch, I would keep the distance and the punch wouldn't exist the way that it did. So, and I kept going with the classes, So I always had, and I still have this wow. And it's wow for the how much effective the self-defense that exists inside the Gracie Academy, Gracie University. It's real. And I see that other institution, they have just the beautiful name, self-defense, but they don't aim it and they don't leave off. And at the Gracie University, it's real and we leave off. And did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you talked about that transition from the time you started and maybe some of the reservations that you had beforehand, and you talk about that you've been in many fights and you're kind of showing how like you know what a punch is, you know what a bloody nose is. And it's interesting how you talk about the clinch being, I guess, one of the first techniques or something that you remember early on. And man, that is so true, because I feel like when you learn the clinch, it maybe brought you back to some of those real raw moments of when you were maybe a kid or at any age in your life and you got into those street fights, and then you realized, and I'm sure you thought like, man, if I had just known this, the clinch, right? And then you just kept going back because you're thinking, okay, it's like they have an answer for all the things that I've been through. But I forget the name of it. It's like conscious incompetence, I think, but it's like we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
But until we actually do, it's always, and like you said, so your best, it's like always after the fact. It's like always after an event, whether it's great or traumatic, you always say, man, like, how did I handle that? And a lot of times, like it's our inability to address the situation. When I'm teaching class, I taught lesson 6, the arm lock from the mount. And the way that I framed it was, guys, we want to control first. And then I always posed a question. I'm like, guys, is being mounted a problem? And, I always love when the white belts or the beginners say, yes, being mounted is a problem. And I get what they're saying. But then I frame it and I say, well, how about this? Is mounting being a problem, or is it our inability to address the mount? Is that the problem? And then they're like, oh yeah, that's so true. And it's like, it's all recycled information. It's all information that Howard has shared with me. And I'm sure that, same thing with Henry Hedon. But yeah, I mean, to go back to basically the outliers, you were learning self-defense, and at the time you were conceptualizing it for what it meant to you. And then you learn the clinch, and then you learn how to hold someone down. And it's like that big puzzle you see, and then like getting those little pieces at a time. And then what happens eventually, right? You fall in love with it and you start realizing like, man, there's something legit about what these guys are doing, Gracie University. And then you just have to keep going, right? It's like, can't quit now, right?
Yeah. You got it out. You got everything. I don't see, for a long time in my life, I couldn't see myself doing it.
Sure.
Now I see that through my entire life, I want to do it. and I keep watching myself, the way that I do, the way that I use my body with efficiency.
Efficiency. That's a great word. Efficiency. Yeah.
To go together with one thing that I put long time ago in my mind that I want to be capable of, which is I want to be able to keep surfing till I hit 100 years old. And now I want to do the same with Jiu-Jitsu. I know with Jiu-Jitsu probably will be easier, although someone that is listening right now would say, what this guy is doing? Well, let me explain to you. The ocean, it's the biggest one in the planet. To face the biggest one, it's different than you lay down on the mat and you put the frame and you say, yeah, try to get my neck.
Mm-hmm.
Much easier to do this. So That's what I'm aiming for, brother. I'm aiming for to keep doing jiu-jitsu forever
Yeah.
together with surfing. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. And jiu-jitsu really is for everyone if taught in a, the correct, in a way where it's safe, structured, and you're learning those valuable skill sets. And I believe that, I believe that jujitsu in itself, whether it's the self defense side or the sports side, if you will, there's a place for all of it. But initially, I feel, and I can say this wholeheartedly as someone that's helped run a business at the CTC here in Delaware, people come for self defense, Eddie, but people stay for the community. And I think you're really a testament to that because I can only imagine like how many people you've met over the years, and especially during the ICP week, and just you see people in passing, and yeah, it's really cool what jujitsu can give someone if you allow it, right? Like if you embrace it. And then, bro, I didn't know you were a surfer, dude. That's amazing. I surf out here back on the East Coast, and obviously it's a lot different the waves than Cali. And I haven't had a chance to surf at all since I've made trips to LA, Torrance. I love Hermosa Beach, and I like all the beaches. So, fun fact: when I was a kid, when I came to the United States, I grew up on quite a few different shows, but one show that really helped me kind of actually learn English and give me a greater appreciation for the beach was the hit 90s show Baywatch. And that was obviously based out of your area, right? LA, Torrance. And when I first, in 2020, when I made the trip out there for the first ICP, my buddy Greg and Ryan, they're also instructors now. We went to Hermosa Beach, and I remember seeing the lifeguard stand, just like the one you see on Baywatch. I'm thinking, yes, I finally made it to the motherland. And then I got into surfing probably a few years before that, but nothing too big because, I mean, unless we get like a storm or something, Delaware doesn't have like big waves, but it's good for beginners. But every time I get a chance to see the Pacific coastline and how like more consistent those waves are, I'm thinking, man, that is like we have a connection with jujitsu, and I feel like we both have a connection with the water. And you can't. It's hard to put that in words, Eddie. But I just tell people you just got to do it. Because people say, "Oh, is jujitsu hard? Is surfing hard? Is anything hard?" I'm like, I say based on my own experience, it is, but you just gotta see it for yourself, and that's cool. So I'm wondering, Eddie, for you, because I've heard a lot of people say that jujitsu and surfing are very much intertwined and they're connected, and I see that because again, for if you've never done jujitsu like Eddie and I have, if you've never done surfing, I don't care if you're a pro surfer or just starting out, if there's two things I feel that really keep you in the moment present is if you're sparring with someone and they're trying to choke you, right? So you got to be completely locked in. And if you're surfing, it's crazy, man. So what's your take on that? So how has like what connections do you see from surfing and jujitsu?
Uh, can I go back to Brazil when I was thinking
Absolutely. Yeah,
when I was
absolutely.
thinking
Yeah.
I don't want to do jiu-jitsu, and then one of the reasons I was, well, to hug a guy and be sweat with a guy, I prefer to hug my surfboard and be sweat in the water. So
Yeah.
that was my
Yeah.
my first thing related to the question. But I believe several of us that we do both, we have some sort of similar answer. I agree with everything that you said. Probably the awareness when we are in the water has to be bigger, because when we are on the mat, depends on the size of the mat, the size of the class, the amount of people. Our awareness, it's very dive in to the person, to the situation that we are facing. But when we are in the water, our awareness has to be way bigger, because, for example, here where I live, there is a channel that between an island that called Catalina Island and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
coast
yeah,
has a
yeah.
channel that it's 3,000 feet deep. And it's a channel that has a lot of migration of those big, beautiful animals that some of them wants to eat us, right? The
Yeah,
sharks.
yeah.
So you have this whole thing related to more life inside the water. And then you have the ocean playing with you. The ocean doesn't even know that you exist. To be comfortable in this, only those two things. The ocean doesn't know that you exist, and we have so many other lives in there that some of them wants to play with you and some of them wants to see you as their food, and then they don't like the taste, they kill you. So just this itself, I would say that the ocean, it's as fun as jiu-jitsu. In fact, I call the green mat as our ocean. But the awareness that you have to have when you are surfing, the direction of the wave, the how big it is, the time between one and the other, if you have someone with you, so it's. But I agree that they are like a concave and a convex. The surfing gives us this inverted thing in the water when we are paddling, and when we are doing jiu-jitsu we have this, so it compensates the body, I think that's why a lot of people like to do both, because when we are paddling we are using our body in the opposite direction than
Mm,
when we are doing jiu-jitsu and we are with our back on the ground. And
yeah,
for us that we do Gracie University, we are so comfortable with our back on the ground. So it's a good combination. I love it.
yeah, absolutely. And I love that breakdown. And the best thing that I took from that, I mean, was everything you said was awesome to hear. I love how you said that when you're in the ocean, it's not your world. It's not your ocean because the ocean doesn't know you exist. Man, how true is that, dude? I've never heard it framed in that way. So thank you for that. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna recycle that at some point
Yeah.
and just say, yeah, I was talking to my man Eddie one time, and he was talking about surfing and how when you go in the ocean doesn't care you exist. It doesn't care how big you are. It doesn't care how rich you are. And I was reminded of that when I was flying into LA, and as the plane is landing, right, I looked down. I didn't have a window seat, but my homie did. So like I'm just looking, and it's just crazy how small we really are, bro. You know? You know what I mean?
Allow me to cut you off just for a
Yeah,
second.
go ahead.
But at the same time, how big we are. We
Yeah.
are bigger than anything that we are facing right now,
Interesting.
as
Yeah.
long we believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry to cut you off. I just
No, it's all
decided
good.
not to lose this because this is what I truly believe.
Yeah.
And by the way, next time that you are here in California, let's find a way to hit the water. I have I have
Yes.
I have surfboards in here. I think we have similar body type. You can wear my wetsuit. We go.
Yeah,
Come,
dude.
come,
I would love that, dude. I would love
come
that,
in
Eddie.
July because the water is a little warmer.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it's funny you say that because I wear a wetsuit pretty much year round too. Even I would say like the only time I don't wear a wetsuit here in Delaware is probably like August. It's like finally when the water's warmed up. But dude, I hate that's a strong word. I dislike when I go to the beach during the summer months and everyone and their mom is there, because I think as surfers, right, it's like you kind of have to be a little selfish when you're out there in the water because, like, yeah, there's other surfers, but like you're really only thinking like it's me in the water, it's me in the wave, and then you're thinking like, okay, I just hope that I can stand on this wave, and then you see some kid paddling and then they steal your wave. I'm like, man, where's the etiquette here, So, yeah, so two things. One, yes, next time I am out in Torrance, I will definitely make some time to connect with you, both on and off the mat, of course. I want to try to come out to, I guess, one of my goals. And again, I got to give a huge shout out to my instructor, Howard Steele. Um, he's been a huge part in my martial arts journey, not only because he's my coach instructor, but he's also one of my best friends, but he's given me so many opportunities
I love
to,
him.
yeah, he's amazing. And I always, anytime I do something in my life, Eddie, that's has a profound moment, I think, how can I pay this forward? Like how can I reciprocate the love that Howard's given me to onto someone else? And I do that through jujitsu. I do that through also karate because I have a huge karate background. So those two kind of blended. It's kind of all one and the same because you're still providing a service. And then also it's like, man, even through friendships, I have a roommate and he's one of my best friends too. So I find a lot of times when I do something for him, it might be kind of similar of something that Howard did for me. So I'd love to take my roommate, take some friends, realistically out to California when it's not ICP weekend, on days where I can actually like enjoy the California sun. And now I can enjoy it with you because that would
Yes.
be pretty cool. Dude, isn't it funny how like this, like in the 6 years that we've unofficially known each other just through passing, I didn't know that you served and you didn't know that I served. So it's one of those things like you don't know until you either
So,
ask or you make time to connect. And the connection seems to be the key here, Eddie. We connect through jujitsu, we connect by this podcast, and and now we have a connection through surfing. So I really believe that energies align. I think there's a reason why we were here today talking because we just seem to. I don't know, and maybe I'm just talking out loud, but I believe in energy frequency. Like I believe when two people have good vibes, they just connect. Like, what do you think, bro?
100%. I I think I always had this belief, but one thing that helped me a lot it was the fact that I really wanted to be able to address the feeling that I was having it in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Although I was already delivering a lot of things from my professional background in English, I
Sure.
always had the feeling that I was sick because I couldn't hold a conversation the way that we are holding right now. And I
Sure.
decided to come. And when I did, my dad was pretty sick, and no one from my family said go. I just decided to come because I want to be able to do this and much more things, more than maybe my number is not right, but I think if I'm not mistaken 65% of all the content that exists in the planet until today, it's in English.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I want to be able to understand more myself and everything, I better understand English. And with this idea, I came to California and I was, man, my dad is sick. How can I help him even being here? I decided to send more my energy to him. We have a place here which is, I love it, this place called PV Cove. I will show you. It's you like to paddle? You gotta paddle a lot to go there. And I very often I was surfing there, and the sunset, the sun was hitting the water, and then very gold, and I was praying and sending my energy to my dad. And with this idea of energy, I truly believe that even though it's so untouchable for those like us that we can feel it, it's clear like water. And that's exactly the way that I interact with every single one that I meet. And that's why every single one that I meet with this open arm, open heart, open soul, open energy, they feel it and they remember. They go, Eddie, man, I remember the way that you received me here now has been already I have so many, brother, like you say, yeah, I remember the first day you opened the door, you were so kind with me. It was so outstanding. And on my side, I took a long time to understand that it wasn't something that people was trying to be nice on me. It was the reality of them. And I took my time because I was, man, why those people are saying those things? I'm just being myself.
Mm.
And being myself and related to the energy, the connection that you are saying, it's, I think, the biggest thing. It was that one that I learned sending energy to my dad back there in Brazil. And I truly believe when I meditate, I do crazy stuff. Like I send energy to everybody. So I'm all in with this idea of energy, bro. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just reminded me how the energy that we give out in jujitsu, like the physical energy, when someone's trying to do XYZ, it's kind of interesting how those energies kind of transcend in all areas of our life. And that's the one thing that jujitsu ultimately I know has given both of us is it's given us a safe haven. It's given us a place where we can really connect and be our true selves, I feel. And, while we're very similar in our paths of jujitsu, where we train at both, established places. Like you just happen to be in headquarters, but I know for certainty, Eddie, that if you were anywhere else doing jujitsu, the personality would still be the same. And you said how like people were like, I don't understand why. He's being so nice, bro. That's you. And I think the issue is, a lot of people don't get a chance or don't, like they're not exposed to certain energies or certain wavelengths, if you will. So I'm going to use a beach analogy, right? Different waves, different currents. And, the current can come at all different magnitudes, if you will. And I think a lot of time, Eddie, and I'm learning this recently and I'm always learning, of course, but sometimes there's things that I might hear from Hiron or Henner or even yourself, or maybe something that Howard has said to me, and it didn't really click then, but years later, it's like, dang, I remember like there's going to be something that you said to me just now in this podcast where I'm going to think like, I remember that one time I was talking about Eddie and he was talking about how the ocean doesn't know you exist. And like, I'm going back to that because that was like, that's such a profound moment or something you said. But, it's crazy how like jujitsu really teaches you to be present. Yes, but also it gives you a time to really self-reflect on, what you could have done or what you did right. It's pretty cool in that sense, I feel. I want to ask you this. So I know you're employed with Gracie University. So aside from the physical jujitsu, what is, I guess, like, what's your day to day like responsibilities? So, like, what do you do there as an employee? Number one, and then the second question I want to follow up with, and this might be a little loaded. What's it like to work there? Because I only see it on 3 days when I come out there, every 6 months, but you're out there all the time. And I had a
Mhm.
chance to talk to Zach Cunningham a little bit because I did a private lesson with him, and I didn't really get a chance to ask him that question that I'm asking you. But I kind of, I was picking his brain on jujitsu. But now that I have you here, I want to ask, like, what are your responsibilities at the academy? And then what's it like to be there all the time around, Hedon and Henner?
Uh, because I have been learning so much things in my life. I try to use all the things that I have been learning from. For example, just for one company experience, I worked almost 21 years,
Wow. Okay.
and I started in a very low position. Back then we call office boy, and then I left as a manager, product manager. So I have a background with marketing, I have a background with finance, accounting, and I start to work um, very young, very, very young. I would say when I was already 8, 9 years old, I was already. So I have been working my entire life, and I feel comfortable to do so many things, that a lot of things that needs to be done at the Gracie University, and people knows, and they know myself. They like to ask my question, like to ask my opinion about it, and I'm all in to help wherever it is. I
Yeah.
want to get involved, and I want to do my best. I want to put my best. And why I'm saying this, because there are several things there that I do and people doesn't know.
Sure.
Several things that I do and a lot of people know, but essentially I am a facility manager there, and besides that, I do a lot of other things throughout the day. That's the first question, right? Did I answer, or you want
Yeah. Yeah.
more?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Just go ahead.
Yeah. So so you've stated that you're the facility manager and you're also involved with other different projects. And I love how you said like you're there just to serve, right? So like it's the servitude mindset and just and if I'm hearing you correctly, it's like you go to work every day or when you do, it's like how can I be the best version of myself? Like what can I do for you to help you out? And you know, it doesn't have to be one person, it could just be for the entire organization.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a very I don't like to do this, but allow me to do it so people that doesn't know me, they will understand a little better of myself.
Hmm.
I'm a very people person, very
Sure.
people person.
Yeah.
And being a very people person, I consider that even though it's perfect, doesn't need to change. Grace University, it's such a solid name and has a lot of strong, beautiful meaning. But if someone asks me, Eddie, if you have to change, what the name that you would do it? I would put it the University of Helpers. And I am just one more there,
Yeah.
helping.
Yeah.
And I want to help as much as I can, because I truly believe that we, as uh, uh, in this industry, we are helping people to be better people.
Hmm.
We're not helping them to learn how to fight, just to learn how to defend themselves. We're helping them to understand who they are,
Yeah.
it's very, very strong uh, 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 um, question to answer. If we try, every single one that it's listening this right now, try to answer this question: who you are, not what you know, not what you have, but who essentially you are. And I think that we exist for that over there. And what is working there,
Yeah. What's
it's
working there like? Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
it's it's just a continuation of my life, brother.
Yeah.
It's a continuation of meeting people that I have them inside my heart, meeting new people that I know that first hi, how are you, could last forever. And it's so interesting to see people walking to the building, and they walk with their head down. And even though they have a lot of money, they have a lot of status, they are well known, but they walk into the building with their head down. And then time goes by, they start to, and then they go, wow, life is so good right here.
Yeah.
So it's the ability to help people to stretch themselves, but not with being pretentious.
I like that word. Yeah. Yeah.
Being someone that it's learning that wherever they feel like that they are out there in the building, chances are that they have several layers more to be their themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's cool because the building has people from all walking of life, but essentially we are people, and we learn a lot what to do and what not to do with everybody. And I'm very, very on it. What can I learn from that little kid that his dad just told me that, wow, Eddie, he never walked. And when you went to your knees and you open your arms and you play, hey, come over here, and the kid walked for the very first time. What can I learn from that kid? Why did he feel any energy? Did he? And what can I learn from Hiron and Henry that I want to do, and what they do that I want to learn that I don't want to do? What they do I don't want to do because it's not for me. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's my version how to answer your question. What is to work with them,
Yeah.
or what is working there?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you shared it from a place of your own perspective and how you were and how you're able to kind of translate that over, of course, into your own meaning. And then yeah, it's always interesting when I, just listening to you talk about kind of like the different roles that you play, but ultimately, like, I think I forgot who told me it. I forgot who told me this originally, Eddie, but like we are in the people business, but we're in the people business that just happens to do jujitsu. And I don't know if Henner told that or Howard told me that, but regardless of who told me it clicked. So so Eddie, Eddie, I'm going to share something with you along the lines of what you just shared with me. Maybe about 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be transparent, my job at the academy where I teach, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Smyrna, the CTC, my job is on paper, I'm the lead head assistant instructor. So I'm tasked to be ready to teach all classes, and of course with Howard, of course. So usually if he's not teaching, I'm the ones teaching, and then we kind of just bounce back. But aside from that, Eddie, I would say I'm kind of not the facility manager, but I want to make sure that I say this where it comes across, you know, heartfelt because it is. But I remember a long time ago, bro, I was cleaning the building. So my one of my jobs is to also help maintain the facility. And and that in itself is very important, cleanliness. And for those that have never been out to Grace University and you've never met Eddie or just seen the building, it's probably one of the most spotless buildings from my perspective that there is. And I value the cleanliness and the way you help upkeep the facility. So I share this to say that one time I was cleaning the bathrooms, the hallways, just doing whatever I needed to do. And I remember saying to myself, like, yo, like I'm like the Eddie of Grace University, but like I'm like the Eddie here. And like, bro, it's no like, and please don't take that as anything other than the most heartfelt compliment because that's how I felt. Because people were coming in, I was greeting them, I was walking down the hallway, and I didn't have my kimono on yet. I was just basically prepping for the day, and yeah, I thought to myself, like, man, this is probably what Eddie feels like, He's probably like in the middle of trying to get from point A to point B, and then people like, sometimes they stop you and they want to talk to you, and it's such a two like two feelings come in. It's like it's a great feeling because I know that I'm helping to keep the facility clean or manage it, which I know you can appreciate. But also as people are coming in, like they don't care if I'm holding like a spray bottle. Like there's no judgment because they see like, oh, there's Nick. He's one of our instructors, but he's also cleaning the building, And it took me a while to like kind of process the importance of the overall mission of the building because teaching jujitsu, that's the easy part. That's the fun part. But, having to do the business side, which I don't do too much, but I've learned about it. But, just the upkeep of the building or whether it's just a simple task like cleaning the windows or the bathrooms or whatever it is, every detail is important. Why? Because when the students come in, Or like when I go to Gracie University and I see how spotless it is, I'm like, yeah, I get it now. It really starts from the start of the house to the end of the house. And throughout that time, I'm hoping that we give a product. So huge shout out to you, Eddie, for kind of, I would say, yeah, like you kind of inspired me that one random moment where I was pushing the I was pushing the janitor cart. I'm thinking like, man, this is what Eddie must feel like, like I was happy to do it, because I wanted because I care so much about the business. I love Howard and Jen. I love the students, and they're worth it, And I wouldn't have gotten that mindset, bro, if I wasn't around people like you. If I didn't see how headquarters does it. And I think that's the reason why Henner says instructors go to headquarters, instructors go keep coming back, because it's not only the jiu-jitsu we're seeing, and I'm learning this. He wants us to see the whole picture. And you helped paint that whole picture for me, Eddie. So thank you so much for that.
You are welcome. I feel honored to hear that from you. Thank you.
Yeah.
There are several reasons why I do this way. First one, I want to make sure that if I'm doing something and for some reason I'm not here anymore and someone will look at and see it and ask, wow, that's crazy. That's so good. Who did it? Oh, it was Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing.
Yep.
Secondly, this is kind of selfish. I wanna make sure that what I'm doing it's so solid that if I'm not here and somebody asks who did it, I want my name to be answered, because that's exactly what I did. Who did it?
Yeah, it was you.
That's the first one. Secondly, I see what we do similar, and I had this conversation with Harold this week. I see what we do similar, what those very unique laboratory, hospital, food department, they have to be very clean.
Yeah.
Why? In our case, our core business is on the ground.
Yeah.
If it's not clean, someone that walks into the building for the very first time, and we are having the opportunity to start a relationship that could last forever. And then the person walking to the building, then the smell, it's a little funny. The floor, it's not well done. And no, I want this out of their mind.
Yeah.
And if they have an experience somewhere else, they can compare. They say, wow, this is, for example, very close here, we have a workout gym. I was member. I walked there. My roommate back then kept inviting me to go, and I said, "Yeah, let's go, bro." I was their client for 15 minutes. I signed the thing, and then I start to walk, and I go, "Oh, the locker room, it's nasty. Ooh, the training room, it's horrible. Ooh, the swimming pool." I 15 minutes. And I asked the guy, "Hey, how many students you have in here?" The guy, "Yeah." "How many members you have?" "Oh," the guy very proud, "I have 11,000 members here." I said, "Wow." And you don't separate a budget to take care of the house?
Yeah.
If you need to know how can you make this place better, drive your car for 5 minutes, and there is a place on Carson and Crenshaw Street at the corner called Gracie University. I will show you how to do it. So this is essentially what it is. But back to your feeling when you have that click. By the way, it was a very, very beautiful click again. And there is something Maybe because I'm from a different culture
Yeah.
and I'm learning. Nothing wrong. Culture, it's right the way it is. I'm not here to judge. Who am I to judge culture? But I think sometimes or very often there is this feeling, oh, if I don't reach my first $1 million when I'm 30 years old, I'm not worth it. I'm not a winner. I'm not success.
Mm-hmm.
And what made me having this understanding, it was one day that I was doing the facility thing,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, I was doing, and then I was so sweat and I was, man, after it. And then a guy that he also had a podcast, had a book, he goes, Eddie, how are you? And I didn't hesitate for a second. And I go, amazing, man. What a day. And the guy look at me, he scanned it and he go, Eddie, how are you? And I go, amazing, man. And then he asked again and he scanned it. And he goes, how so? And then he gave me the opportunity to, with all kinds of words that did make sense to me. He gave me that question, and I go, well, there are so many things that needs to be aligned in order for me to put my feet right here where I am, to keep breathing, to be able to talk to you, to hear, to see. I have so many things that makes me feel amazing, and I'm strongly sure that it is amazing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter what I'm doing it. I'm doing with this idea of I'm doing from a heart that it's always amazed through the opportunity of doing it, whatever I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's I feel like when that guy asked how your day was, because, you know, and we're all guilty of this. We ask people how they're, how people like in passing, like, oh, hey man, how are you? But no one really, like, I'm not at, like, people don't really care how you're doing. So I'm sure when that person asked, he was just looking for a response, of any. But then you gave him a response that he wasn't expecting, and then he essentially opened the door for, your response. So yeah, I think the fact that you have that mindset and you can be heartfelt and genuine even when you're doing something that, I guess, people, I don't know, like, so in when I was in school, Eddie, and it's just it was how I was raised by my parents. We all, like, I was taught early on to respect the, respect the teacher, respect the principal, respect the janitors, respect the cafeteria ladies. So for me, when I would see someone mopping the floor, or if I would see the cafeteria lady cleaning dishes, I didn't see the floor. I didn't see the dishes. I saw the person, and I saw just someone who's working. And I'm so glad that I have that I was taught that early on, because, it's easy to say, like, that person's, cleaning the floor. And I'm thinking, yeah, like, who else is going to do it? Are you going to do it? All right, then shut up, So it's, you know what I mean? So I value the fact that you do everything the way you do. And regardless if you're cleaning or not, if you're just walking around, or if you're outside at the beach and I say, hey, what's up? Or, hey, how are you? You're going to be like, amazing. I think that's such a good approach. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Another thing that helped me to be very comfortable with it, it was the fact that I have, as I told you, I I had quite a bit of experience with my long life learning uh, uh, um, style,
Yeah.
and maybe because AI, this will be on the side, but I have a stack of things that I've learned, certificate, diplomas, doctor degree, master degree, uh, a lot of things. And people see what you are doing it, but they don't know what you have, who you are. And then they take the time and then they start to talk and they go, wow. So, and then you have this amount of education?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
do. How so? Well, I just discovered from my childhood that if I want to be someone better, because I came from a very simple family, the education, it was my way to go and to grow. If I didn't have this mindset, I probably wouldn't be able to put again my feet where my feet are. And people say, "Oh man, this is hard." And I always answer this way, well, I think the hardest part of my life, it was to put my feet exactly where they are, one step ahead, and I'm not on the same spot anymore. So I don't see things hard.
Yeah.
And even when I'm sharing a move, when I'm teaching a private and I'm doing things and they go, man, this is hard. I go, please use the word interesting.
Mm.
Don't say that it's hard, because when you say that it's hard, you are putting limitation. But when you say, wow, that's so interesting. I supposed to grab in a monkey grip and I did a human grip. But guess what? Next time I will do it. So you are always being light with yourself. And then you learn better, you enjoy better instead of being punishing. And if we, for example, I said I live on vacation, right?
Yeah.
So if I live on vacation we clean. On vacation we think about business. On vacation we think about things. So
Mm.
it's all connected.
Yeah.
Work, joy, traveling, whatever. It's very demanding to paddle in the water when there are 6 feet waves,
Yeah.
and you go,
Powerful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just need to go in, man. Just need to go in. I'm gonna go really quick with this idea of we need to go in.
Absolutely.
I was with a great friend of mine, Diego, in Brazil, and we were working during the week, and over the weekend we were driving 2 hours, and we were renting a place, and every weekend we were surfing every weekend, and one day we received this forecast saying, "Man, it's gonna be an epic swell." And we kept going, and we passed by 3 4 different surf spot, and we go, wow, they are doing towing in here, that there is no sand. And we went to the place and I said, yeah, I want to go. And my friend, no, I don't want to go, I want to stay here. And I said, I want to go, man. And I went. It was probably the biggest swell that I ever surfed. And I saw a lot of surfing going through the rocks, and the lifeguard with jet ski, with helicopter, and grabbing those guys. And then I didn't have time. I just stayed there for a couple hours, and then I came out. And then I was, man, I know this is something. Time went by, and then I got a new magazine I was reading, and it was, yeah, the lifeguard took several people from the water that they were crashing into the rocks. I'm not sure if it was 20, 30 people, 40, I don't know. It was something ridiculous. And I go, man, if I knew it that I would face that, probably I wouldn't do it. So when you have this idea of, I want to do it, no matter what, you go there and you do it. And then later on, people go, wow, are you crazy? You are doing this? Well, I didn't know that it was that hard. I just do it. And we have several people sharing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Yeah, when we live off this way, bro, lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Lifestyle. When we have this as
Kumite.
our lifestyle, we just go and go. We dodge you and we
Yeah. That dude, that's awesome. And I yeah, I appreciate you like sharing that story about the swells you said and just I think in life we just ultimately what I learned from that, that story, Eddie, is, and I hope the viewers did too, it's like you don't wait for the perfect wave. Sometimes you got to create your own perfect wave, because the perfect wave for you, Eddie, is going to be a different perfect wave for me. And I think a lot of times, just to be very transparent again, you talk about the lifestyle, Kumite lifestyle. I had this idea for a couple of years and it kind of changed a little bit as far as what I wanted from it. But I remember back in August, Eddie, like 5 months ago or whenever that was, I was just sitting in my room. I said, man, I have a great way of talking to people, and I can connect. I know that I can, and I want to do it in a way where everyone kind of is very familiar because nowadays I feel like everyone and their mom has a podcast, but I wanted to do something where it's like, because I've watched podcasts, I've watched other people, and not like the big ones or anything like that, but I've watched some people on YouTube because it's like jujitsu techniques. I like to research, if you will. So I was watching people do podcasts, and I'm thinking, I can do that. And I said to myself back in August, Eddie, I said, if I don't ever do this, I might never do it. So for me, that was my swell. That was my perfect wave. And for the last 5 months, I've just been riding this wave. So it just reminded me of that when you were sharing the story about, your experience. Eddie, this has been a fantastic time talking with you. And like I said, it went by super fast. You shared a lot of great insight on things that, aside from knowing you in person, are very small connection, if you will, as far as like the time that we've actually spent over the last 6 years in passing. But thank you for sharing your insight on why you started jujitsu, because that was the main reason of why I wanted to have you on, was to share that story, but also give you a platform, to do it in, such an amazing way that you did. And then you shared your times about surfing, and I love the connection that you made. So again, just to recap, you talked about how the ocean doesn't care who you are, and I want to go one step forward. Jiu-jitsu doesn't care who you are either, because it's either you do or you don't. And then you also took the time to really talk about what it's like to not only work at Grace University, but as you say, to be on vacation every single day at Grace University as well. So this has been great. Eddie, what is, like, aside from what you do already, since it is 2026, which is crazy, do you have any, like, what are some New Year's goals or resolutions that you have for yourself in the upcoming year that, yeah, that you don't mind sharing with the audience?
Thank you. Nick, first of all, when you invite me, I felt, wow, that will be cool. We are
Yeah.
going to have a better time to talk, and
Yep.
it has been a pleasure to me. And I decided not to search about anything. I said, I want to be raw. I want to be myself without knowing the topic that will be approached. It was open.
Yeah.
When I saw the name, you sent me the paperwork that is necessary to sign, and
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that you do that for safety. And I saw the word lifestyle. I had some sort of idea, and I said, "Yeah, man, this is gonna be easy. My lifestyle, it's myself." So, and saying this, you said in the beginning, you said so, and then you fell in love with jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
I respect that, but allow me to say that I am in love, first of all, with myself. I'm in love with my wife that I met at the Gracie University.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
Very cool.
Uh-huh. I'm in love with my family, with the people that I care a lot, and I'm in love with the people that I don't even know. I know it's sound kind of weird, but I'm in love with people, and I love everything that I do. I love surfing. We have a band. I don't know if you know that, but I have a band, and
That's awesome, dude.
yes, yes, and has been a very interesting ride.
I
We
bet.
we are five of us, five Brazilian that came to the US to learn English, and then we ended up having a band. We have been with this band uh, close to 10 years. We have roughly some 20 original songs. Pretty soon we are going to put something out there so you'll be able to listen.
Yeah,
We
please
do,
do. Yeah.
we do some gigs, and I am the singer, and I want to. You said about the resolution for the year and the upcoming year.
Sure.
Um, since I decided that I want to be able to live as much as I can until I turn 100 years old, every single thing that I do, it's aiming that.
Hmm.
And I want to do every single thing that helps me to get that. I want to get better in jiu-jitsu. I want to get better being a people person. I want to get better in the band. I want to be better as a singer. I want to make sure that we write things, that we create songs and reach as much people as possible and inspire them to do things. I I want to be able to understand what it's so intricate to people right now. This idea of what is being living with robots that we didn't approach at all.
Hmm.
Right now we are talking about jiu-jitsu, but if we have the Grace University and it just being crazy, imagine the Grace University with AI, what would be?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
You see?
I don't know.
So my resolution of the upcoming years, it's to understand better all those big nuances that we have in our life and live as much as I can.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a specific, oh, I wanna eat better. Well, I'm a pescatarian. They put that label on me. I don't eat meat. I don't eat artificial sugar. I follow the Gracie diet. So I don't have those. I want to lose weight. Well, I do fasting. I do 85 hours not eating. So I do a lot, and I just want to keep doing all the things that I do. Sorry that I didn't have a straight answer to your question, but this is
It's okay.
this is the way that I do.
No, it's all good. No, like I appreciate that approach and kind of that and talk about the AI possibly for AI right now and then AI with Grace University. So like using the connection principle, that was cool. It's a lot of uncertainty, and if there's one thing jujitsu has taught both of us is we don't shy away or we're not scared of the unknown. We embrace it, and I can use what you said about the ocean. The ocean doesn't care who you are. AI doesn't care who we are, so we just gotta, jump on board and mount it for a while, maybe transition to side mount, see what positions we have to kind of navigate.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, man. Eddie, so again, this has been amazing, amazing having you on. It was great to have you share your mindset. And, for those watching, oh yeah. So Eddie, that's another thing for those watching. How can people, I don't know if you're big on social media, Instagram, Facebook. I know people can find you at Grace University, of course, but for anyone watching, where can people get a hold of you if they have questions or if they just want to, connect with you, Eddie? Because I always want my guests to be able to share that if they're comfortable. So, how can people get a hold of you?
Um, I'm gonna start in a joke, okay?
Yeah.
My number, it's like banana. Everybody has at home. If you don't have it, it's okay. So you can you can find me on Instagram,
Yep.
Eddie EDDI underline Morais, or you can find my band Under Influence double E in the end. Um, from my personal Instagram, I don't post that much. I always have so much things that I want to post at the moment that I'm doing, but I do prefer to leave the moment and then I post it later, right? But
Yeah.
then time goes by and I go, yeah, the moment is there. It's okay. I don't need, and then I don't post that much. But I use Instagram. I don't use Facebook anymore. I use WhatsApp. And if for some reason you are listen to this, you are curious about anything, my life is open. It's like an open book without pages. Probably you won't read anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Instagram, it's the way to go. Or shoot me a message there, and then depends on the person. Of course, I will share my number. I won't share my number right now because there are some people that they use it
Yeah.
for their own interested,
Yeah.
and sometimes their own interested is not what I'm aiming for. So,
Sure. No, I totally understand that. So yeah, so he's available on Instagram. Yeah, check it out if you're curious about getting to know a little bit more about Eddie. Eddie, again, thank you so much. It was an honor to have you on today's Kumite Lifestyle podcast, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day today out in sunny California.
yes, it's a little chilly, it's sunny, and it's cool. I appreciate you as well. I want to say congratulations on having this desire to ask people questions that throughout this question start a conversation with people that it's listen, and they can start to ask those questions to themselves, and they start to have better relationship with certain mindsets, certain lifestyle that they appreciated. And man, I hope you have a very fruitful relationship with every single one that you are going to interview here. But the most important is putting yourself available to do this. It's something that there's no money that can pay. Even if one day you have sponsors, that I hope you do. But the idea of helping people to know better people, it's the key of being people.
Yeah.
It's kind of redundant to so many people on my statement, but that's the thing. That's what we do there at
Yeah.
the University, and that's what we do everywhere we are. And I can see a lot with you, brother. Thank you for being yourself. Thank you for your existence. And if you need anything from my side, you have me. And from my side, I don't break it
Thank
forever.
you so much. Thank you, Eddie. I really appreciate that. And again, thank you for your time. This was amazing. I can't wait for the viewers to be able to watch this once it's all said and done. Thanks again, bro. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you.